Usyk is a massive favourite for this fight, and with good reason. So that leaves us fans asking, what if? And we ask ourselves a lot of what if questions to get into the fight. So to help with that, I'm going to go through some what ifs that history proves can actually happen. The first one, styles make fights. How often do we hear this? But what does it actually mean? It means sometimes the fighter has a style that's going to trouble the other guy, even though they're not the best fighter. The best example that comes to mind for me is Mayweather versus Maidana 1. Mayweather, one of the best defensive fighters of all time, versus Maidana, a good fighter. But Maidana came in with a lot of weird angles, a lot of awkward punches that Mayweather or any other conventional boxer wouldn't be used to seeing, and it gave him a lot of trouble. For the first 6 rounds especially, Maidana won a lot of those rounds, and at the end of the fight, one judge had it even. I had it 7-5 to Mayweather, but a close fight. So it just goes to show that you can get some odd styles and odd angled punches that your typical boxer like Usyk from Ukraine, huge amateur background, that typical Eastern European block fighting, you see is very conventional. Now, another fight that we can compare, and it's probably the best comparison we can make because, again, it was Mayweather, a fighter who was at the top of his game at the time, although retired, versus a fighter from another discipline at the top of their game, Conor McGregor. Now, Conor McGregor did a lot better than any of us were ever expecting him to do. He had a lot of weird and awkward punches at weird angles, and he was able to have some success. One uppercut in particular really rings true. So what if that one uppercut can get in? And in heavyweight boxing, sometimes it only takes one, certainly when you're 270 pounds and built like Rico. So I guess why was McGregor able to be so successful against Mayweather? Mayweather didn't come into shape, and that's another what if. What if Usyk isn't coming into shape? And I know what you're thinking. I know you're going to say, Usyk's so disciplined, he's always going to come into shape for a fight. But wasn't Mayweather one of the most disciplined fighters in the gym? Fighters saying late in his career that Mayweather fights like he's broke. So if Mayweather can come in with that lack of discipline for a fight that he doesn't see as a credible threat, so can Usyk perhaps. Usyk's also 39. We hear fighters getting old overnight. So, around about this age, we can see them, they get in the ring and they've just lost a step or two. So what if we have the combination of Usyk didn't train as hard and he comes into the fight a little unprepared? And you know who's going to come into the fight extremely prepared? It's Rico. Rico is going to come into this fight in the best shape of his career. Why wouldn't he? He's been given this massive opportunity that, no one's ever going to get again. No one's ever going to give that to him. The amount of upside that he has and the amount of downside that he's not exposed to, it's crazy. He has absolutely nothing to lose. He doesn't even need to win the fight. If he can just trouble Usyk for a tiny bit, if he can have moments of brilliance, if he can make it past the 6th round, that's going to be considered a win for him. And the amount of fights that he'll be able to then leverage and negotiate at a higher level or a top level, depending on how he performs, is going to be astronomical in terms of paydays. He'll make more in his next fight than he made in his entire kickboxing career if he can do decently in this fight. So when you have a situation like that and someone that has nothing to lose, everything to fight for, and they have the athletic advantages, maybe something can happen. When you're a big, rangy guy, although on measure their reach is about the same, I'm told. I don't see quite how that translates in the ring when you got such the height as Rico does and that wide torso. If he reaches out with his punches, he could have some success. Tyson Fury, in the middle of the first fight, had a lot of success punching Usyk, doing wide winging shots and hurting him to the body. And we have seen Usyk hurt to the body before. So they're the what ifs, but let's talk about the likelies. And look, there's 2 things that make this fight extremely likely. I think Usyk is just going to have such high output that's overwhelmed a lot of his fighters that he's faced. And the main thing is going to be Rico's going to come in straight up, standing forward. That's a kickboxing trait. There's nothing I don't think he could really do to change that. Kickboxers, they need to stay light on their feet. They need to throw kicks and they need to check kicks, which makes lateral movement really difficult. The lateral movement, it's not coming from moving your head. If you stand up and you try and do, say, the Mike Tyson peekaboo style, you'll notice how much pressure you're putting on your feet to try and move side to side. So with that natural stance that he has as a kickboxer, being light on his feet, he's just not going to do that, and he's just going to be a punching bag all night for Usyk, who very likely stops a fight, honestly, whenever he wants to. This is Matt with Taylor the Tape. We'll see if any of these what-ifs happen, and we'll see you next time.